Do you have a hard time understanding your child? Or do you know what they're saying but other people can't understand them? Some kiddos have speech problems that continue well into grade school and beyond. They literally have trouble knowing how to make the sound form correctly in their mouths. They haven't figured out how to make their tongue, breath, teeth, palate, and lips work together to help them form the sounds. For example, instead of saying k for the hard C, the student produces a t sound. The k forms in the back of the mouth, while the t uses many of the same muscles, but it forms in the front of the mouth. These concepts are not entirely unfamiliar to me, as I studied the great vowel shift in England that happened during the transition from Middle to Modern English in the 1400s. I learned about how Chaucer pronounced April as opposed to April, the way we say it today. I learned about how the sounds associated with the vowels literally began to be formed in different areas of the mouth, hence the great vowel shift. My degree in medieval studies taught me extensively about the difference between medieval and modern sounds. What's been driven home to me this week in this class, however, is the connection between sound disorders and other deficits in school performance. There is a significant link between kids with sound disorders and a lag in academics. Research is beginning to show that fully half to 3/4 of the students with sound disorders will later demonstrate academic challenges. Often these students will have reading challenges and difficulty with writing and other communication. Also, speech disorders are connected with a lack of confidence socially. Since students should be able to produce all of the sounds by age 5, the presence of a sound disorder is an important red flag that can be an early predictor of academic challenges. This can get us on the pathway to early intervention long before the student has begun to fail their classes. Under the old wait for failure model, it could be 2nd or 3rd grade before students would be targeted for intervention, losing years of crucial time. If the mispronunciation of sound could be a way to target intervention early on, we could possibly get the challenges dealt with early enough to minimize the impact on the child's future. We need as many of these early predictors as we can find. My own child was identified as having autism at age 2.5. As a result, he was targeted for early intervention in a preschool that specialized in educational challenges. Throughout his school career, teachers have told me how much more skilled he is than other students in his classes. His speech, functional, and academic skills exceed expectations for a person with an IQ of 44. Early intervention is extremely important. We are still learning about how things are linked in the brain. Could the wiring that causes speech disorders be related to challenges in making academic connections? We don't have to wait for proof. Just as we don't have to wait for the child to fully fail, we don't need to fully understand how speech and academic challenges are linked to intervene. It makes sense that if a child is targeted to receive speech services, they would be under increased attention of a team of professionals. When professionals work as a team, they often have synergistic team think strategies. In other words, they put their heads together and discuss their charge. Quickly, a small thing noticed by one professional will be discussed and relayed to others. Small triggers that may have been ignored before will become the catalyst for intervention. As a result, the child will be helped long before he or she would have been in the past.